Welcome to the dark side. If you have clicked this video, then you are definitely like me who sometimes enjoys watching dark BLs. There is an unexplainable pleasure that I derive from watching BLs with tragedy, toxicity and terror. So today I compiled a list of 22 BLs with dark themes. I have divided this video into two parts. This is part 1 of the video, so please make sure to watch part 2 after you finish watching this one. The link will be in the description box below. Before I begin, let me clarify by saying that I don't necessarily like all these BLs. Some were interesting, some were great, but some others were downright disturbing or not so well made. But I will list down all BLs that I know of because even though some were not to my taste, I do recommend watching them once if you are a fan of dark themes like me. So with that said, let's get started with the first one. Round Trip to Love is a Chinese movie that tells the story of two university students who are madly in love with each other. But when their family gets to know about them, they had to separate. Lu Feng is sent to Hong Kong while Xiao Chen is left alone and gets bullied by his classmates. Many years later, Xiao Chen is working in a big company. One day, the son of the president becomes his boss. Turns out the boss is Lu Feng. They rekindle their romance but are soon struck with another tragedy. After a few more years, Xiao Chen is married, but Lu Feng still can't give up on him. Their love has now become a toxic disease. I must say this movie was very well done. The actors were good looking and performed extremely well. The story was engaging throughout and the ending was satisfactory. I highly recommend watching this. This is another movie that I can't get enough of. One thing is for sure, Japanese do dark themes extremely well. They do it in a way that feels very human, very intimate, like these broken people could be anywhere near us. The realism that they show in their movies is brilliant. Kyoichi is an unfaithful husband who keeps having affairs. His wife hires a personal detective to collect proof of Kyoichi's cheating. One day, a man confronts Kyoichi. It turns out that this detective is Kyoichi's university junior Wataru, who has been in love with him since a long time. Wataru blackmails Kyoichi to sleep with him, otherwise he will tell his wife about his affairs. The movie is quite emotional, conflicting and gritty. I felt sympathetic towards both characters and felt their insecurities on a deep level. No Regret is my all-time favorite Korean movie. It's just so passionate and emotional. Jaemin and Sumin's love story makes me cry every single time I watch it. For the stuff they go through, the end is pleasantly surprising and happy. This is a simple and unique love story between two men who come from different worlds. Two people who belong to different classes of society. Sumin is left heartbroken after facing the harsh reality of survival in Seoul, so he ends up working in a host bar. Jaemin, on the other hand, is the son of a rich and powerful businessman whose parents are pressuring him to get married, even after knowing that he's gay. As soon as Jaemin saw Sumin for the first time, he fell in love. Jaemin kept pursuing Sumin even though Sumin kept rejecting him. Can two people who are pitted against each other by society fall in love and stay together? Every time I watch this movie, which is quite often, it makes my heart flutter and makes me sad at the same time. This is such a wonderful movie. I loved how subtle the two characters are in expressing their feelings towards each other. The movie only depicts events that happen in a single night. So although the atmosphere is dark throughout the movie, there is tender romance that develops and keeps the viewers hooked to see what will happen at the end of the night. The ending is hopeful and kind of expected. Won-gyu, a steward, returns to Seoul 2 years after he left with a painful memory. He meets Taejun, acquainted on the web, and they have a special night at the place of Won-gyu's bad memory. I actually have no words for this one. This one is just great to see. Yes, just watch and enjoy. Don't think about the story, don't look for plot, just enjoy life because it feels great to be alive. Yeah. Also, I would like to do a marching salute to whoever wrote this masterpiece story. I owe that person big time, just saying. After attempting to commit suicide, elite office worker Katsuragi Makoto wakes up bound in an unfamiliar place. There he meets his captor Yoda Ryoji, who forces a horrible life on Makoto. The two start bonding and each begins to recall the tragic past that led them to this deranged situation. This movie is really twisted with an ending that is shocking yet satisfying. My jaw was constantly dropped while watching this movie. There is something about the shortest distance is round trilogy that is hard to digest and watch, but you still keep watching because it is just so exciting. There are some amazing NC scenes in this one and the plot is great too. I highly recommend watching this one. Haruto spends a lonely high school. The new teacher Aoyama cares about him and starts an exchange diary. Haruto gradually opens up, but one day when he was resting because of a cold, he was kissed by Aoyama, who came to visit him. Agitated by the sudden incident, Haruto violently refused and Aoyama was chased away from teaching. 3 years later, Haruto, who graduated from high school and became a host, has debts and sells his body. But suddenly, he meets Aoyama again. Shortest Distance is Round Rain and Soda is a sequel to the movie Shortest Distance is Round. This sequel is crazier than the first one and I'm not exaggerating. It's exciting and stimulating and weird and wild. The plot won't make much sense but you will be invested in the characters. After overcoming many obstacles, Haruto and Aoyama are finally together. However, the day after they confirm their love, Aoyama suddenly disappears. Shibahara, a man who claims to know everything about Aoyama, appears in Haruto's life. Meanwhile, runaway Seiya hides with his lover. Yazaki, who is being chased by Yakuza and is looking for an opportunity to revenge on everyone who made their life miserable. Haruto also meets Ruka, a mysterious pole dancer, and these two lonely souls would find comfort in each other. This movie is heartbreaking to watch, but do watch this because it has a sweet ending. Korean society, like many other countries, is still adverse towards people who don't follow the conventional norms. These people get brutally bullied for no reason. The naked reality of it all is a hard pill to swallow for the viewers because the writers didn't hold back at all. They mirrored the reality of homophobic Korean society in the most harsh way. But the love between Yeongju and Gi-won still peeked through. 3 teenage boys who were once close friends grow apart when they reach high school. Yeongju lives hiding his true sexuality. Gi-won becomes the leader of the school gang and Gi-taek is an obsessive manga fan. Tired of the constant malicious bullying by Gi-won's gang, Gi-taek betrays them by disclosing that Yeongju has loved Gi-won for years. Surrounded by an insecure boundary of the school and wounded by betrayals, the boys are driven into a catastrophe. This show infuriated me so much. The senior Kang really deserved jail time for what he did to Shin. And the worst part is that I was seriously rooting for their relationship in the first 2 episodes. This show really kind of changed my perspective towards Thai BL industry. I used to think they only made silly, cliched, corny dramas, but this drama has none of that. This is way too realistic and triggering. It shows how social media bullying can ruin a person's life. But not only that, it shows that the person who is seemingly perfect on paper, good looks, caring, considerate, kind, can turn out to be a monster once you get too close. This series will forever remain my all-time favorite Thai series. Shin, a shy and reserved first-year student, admires from afar his senior Kang. Kang is tall, handsome, smart, and owns the heart of many girls on campus. But what others don't see is the pressure to be perfect from his family that weighs on Kang's shoulders. Due to Shin's clumsiness, he becomes acquainted with the handsome senior. As Kang takes a liking to his junior, jealousy from peers makes the cyber world a breeding ground for hate and nasty rumors. When 2 broken individuals come together, they end up hurting one another. There is an age gap and a gap of culture between the two, which stops them from communicating with each other and sharing problems with one another. So both of them keep hurting each other and face their issues alone. There are some very sweet moments between them though that keep you hopeful throughout the movie. Kohei is a former competitive swimmer who lives an ordinary life with his wife and high school daughter. One day his wife suddenly asks him for a divorce. He then has a fateful encounter with a beautiful boy named Yutaka. Yutaka dreams of becoming an animator while working as an online chat boy. At the same time, he is struggling to tell his father that he is gay. They are both confused but eventually become attracted to each other. Okay, this movie is crazy. You will see Fluke like you have never seen him before. He's deranged in this one. Fluke's acting in this movie will make you fall in love with him all over again. And if you were not a fan of Fluke before, then you will become a fan of him after watching this movie. This movie is quite sad if you think about it, because this boy just wants someone to love him, but the things he does for love, well, they are questionable to say the least. This is a highly engaging movie and I request everyone to watch it at least once. Vine, a young man with an angelic physique, meets by chance a boy who turns out to be a total amnesiac. A special bond is formed between them when Vine realizes the nature of the unknown. The latter is a creature of the night, thirsty for blood. Vine ends up letting him quench his thirst on him, crossing the point of no return at the same time. So this was part 1 of 11 dark themed BLs that I highly recommend watching. You can now click the link in the description box or the card here to go to the part 2 of this video. Please don't forget to let me know in the comments which ones have you seen from this list and what you thought about them. See you in part 2.